And welcome back to another episode of A Grown Man Spends 20 Minutes Making Fun of a Movie for Kids. You may have noticed something a little bit different. There's a microphone in the frame. I got a new stand for my microphone, and apparently the only way I can get it close enough to me is by having it slightly. So I hope this isn't super distracting. This would be kind of a crazy way for one of those faceless YouTubers to film videos.
What's up, guys?
So today we're going to be talking about Zapped, and after watching this movie, I'm starting to think that the writers of Disney Channel original movies are not capable of writing a movie that's not about a teenager trying to control the opposite sex and mold them and craft them to their liking. You got Pixel Perfect, a movie about creating the perfect girl, pop star, how to build a better boy. Pretty self-explanatory in the title on that one. And then you got this movie Zapped, which is about Zendaya discovering that her dog training app can actually train boys to obey. Sorry? It can train boys to obey her every command. It's not actually... she's not playing herself. It's Zendaya's a character named Zoe. I think that's probably pretty clear, but I just wanted to clear that up. This movie is full of dark magic. I'm convinced of it. There's something deeply sinister going on in this movie. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna figure it out. Let's go ahead and watch it. The movie starts out with Zendaya's character Zoe giving a maid of honor speech at her mom's wedding. She's marrying this new guy, so her family is about to be merged with his family. So it's Zendaya and her mom, and then this man and his 3 sons. So it's like a family of women mixing with a family of men, which makes a lot of sense, because as we know, women give birth to girls and men give birth to boys.
First off, I just want to say how happy I am that my mom has finally found love again. She is the most giving person I know.
Her speech starts off sweet, but then she immediately just starts kind of complaining about having to live with 4 new guys because they're stinky.
4 guys, and their mysterious odors that they always blame on the dog.
Yeah, she sort of takes the opportunity to complain and just make her mom, I guess, feel bad for marrying a guy. It's the happiest day of her mother's life. And also this guy, her new stepdad, is the happiest day of his life. And her speech is I hate my new family. My new stinky family. And this wedding will certainly ruin my life. To make matters even worse, towards the end of her speech, the boys lose control of their pet dog, who is at their wedding for some reason. They lose control of the dog, and the dog goes crazy and knocks a chocolate fondue fountain all over Zendaya. And at this moment, I couldn't help but remember that Zendaya's character in Euphoria is supposed to be the same age as Zendaya's character in this movie, and their lives are drastically different. Throughout this movie, you will find that the characters are super weird. They're caricatures of people that don't exist in real life. And to show how much it's gonna suck really living with the boys, the writers of this movie decided to have the next day start with Zendaya's new stepdad screaming in the hallways, getting everybody ready for school. But then when he sees Zendaya come out of her room, he doesn't know how to talk to her.
Hi, girl. Hi, girl.
It's dude, you're 50. Have you never talked to a girl before? The movie then establishes why each one of the new guys that she lives with is gross in some way. One of her little brothers is really messy. The other one's always cooking gross stuff. Which is a weird character trait. I get the messy younger brother, but the gross cooking younger brother, is that a thing? Is that something I'm supposed to be able to relate to? And then the oldest of the brothers is always frantically running around. He's always late for something. He's really scatterbrained.
My pants! Where are my pants? Where are my pants?
Okay, excuse me, can we just establish a few ground rules here? You're not wearing pants. Please stay out of my personal space bubble.
Look, Zoe, I have morning basketball practice, and then a players meeting, and then a captain's meeting, and then even more practicing.
It's kind of weird to respond to a request about not invading my personal space when you're not wearing pants by saying but Zoe, I've got basketball practice. He fully bumps his butt on her while getting ready in his underwear, and she's can you not do that? And he's sorry, sometimes when you're busy you just gotta rub up on your stepsis in your underwear. What don't you get? I'm in many extracurricular clubs, okay? Along with moving into a new house with all these boys, she also starts attending her new school, which is the school that her brother goes to. And you know how in Disney movies there's always the distinct cliques, there's the popular crowd, and then there's the stoners, but they never say stoners in the Disney movie. They're just kind of these are the kids who wear jean jackets. This movie has the most insane high school posses ever. You got the skateboard boys, okay, that's pretty normal. The next group she sees are the shirtless workout boys, and then just the straight up stinky boys, where the only defining characteristic is that they're dirty, flea-ridden, smelly boys. You can hear flies flying around them. What clique is this supposed to be in high school? And then there's the popular group, one of whom is also pretty stinky himself, actually.
The Tripster? The Tripathon?
It's me. I'm Trip.
Oh,
Fart farm.
oh.
The movie sort of writes this off as like, well, this is just something boys do, you know? New school, you gotta kind of accept what boys come with it, you know? Boys will be boys. No. That is actually not what boys do. That is something that just one very specific boy does.
It's me. I'm Trip.
And he needs to be stopped. I cannot remember a single moment in high school where a boy walked up to a girl, let alone like the new girl who's already like scared and doesn't know anyone and is like, hey, I'm gonna fart in your face. Welcome to the school, smell my ass. But it's not all bad though. She does make a friend on her very first day. And in typical Disney Channel movie fashion, she is wearing a fedora. Every Disney Channel movie has to have a token fedora blazer wearing character.
But the boys here are cute, aren't they? All of them. I think we have the highest percentage of cute boys in the entire greater Westlake area.
Unlike Zoe though, she actually kind of likes the boys at the school. She's like, sure, they may have their flaws, but they're pretty cute.
Wow, you seem a little... Oh, boy crazy? Yeah, that's the official diagnosis.
Hold up. This girl has a picture of a boy that goes to her school in her locker. Is that a thing? I remember in like middle school, girls would have pictures of like celebrity boys in their locker. Imagine seeing a picture of you in your locker. I feel like I was being hunted. It's weird to have his picture in your locker. It's even weirder in the movie when we find out that she also actually has pictures of him printed out on her pillows in her bed. Nope. That's scary. Imagine if they start dating, she's like FaceTiming him in bed, and she like accidentally tilts the camera a little bit to the side, and he just sees his own face next to her. Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted in a negative... Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie... Face next to her? Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted in a Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted in a negative light. Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted... Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is... Next to her? Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted... Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie... Face next to her? Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in... Own face next to her? Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in his own face next to her. Wait, what was that? Is that me? Of course, Zoe does have a love interest in this movie, and he is introduced early on. It's this guy. Every boy in the movie is depicted in a negative light except this guy. Because this guy, he's not like other guys.
Mr. Kale, pay attention. There will be a quiz. The praying mantis. Squadromantis race. Carnivorous member of the phylum Arthropod, class Insecta.
Wow, he really is different than all the other guys. He knows about praying mantises. Most guys around this school don't know shit about bugs. Yeah, the movie really seems to depict this guy as like a way that guys shouldn't be stinky and messy, okay? Guys should wear beanies and be 35. Disney Channel original movie. Literally looks like he's 30. Maybe he was held back for being too cool or not being stinky enough. That seems to be a requirement at this school. He went on stage to accept his diploma, and they shook his hand, and they were like, "Wait a minute, why isn't your hand sticky? Actually, there's no flies flying around. Get out of here, dude. Back to freshman year."
No wonder you do the silent lone wolf sunglass rifle thing.
Oh, it's pancake mishap this morning.
No, I'm not looking at that.
Okay, well then what are you looking at?
I'm looking at you.
Creepy. He stops in the middle of the hallway just to stare her down.
I think I've got you figured out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This just comes off as creepy to me. I guess this is supposed to be romantic, but it's not really romantic to me. Just scary. Another one of the plot lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This just comes off as creepy to me. I guess this is supposed to be romantic, but it's not really romantic to me. Just scary. Another one of the plot lines in this movie is that Zoe wants to join the dance team, but the girl who runs the dance team is like the popular mean girl. She doesn't want Zoe on the dance team because she's too good at dancing and it's gonna make her look bad or something. Anyway, by now you're probably wondering, when the frick does this app thing happen, right? When the frick does Zoe discover that the dog training app works on boys? Well, at first, it doesn't. Zoe's just trying to train the family dog because it's all just like the rest of the boys in the house. It's stinky. And it like destroys her room and shit. Breaks this thing that her dad gave to her. She downloads this app called Listen and Obey, which is kind of an ominous sounding app.
Sit. Shake.
Right away, this app is already clearly cursed with dark magic, right? And the dog can even tell, too, because you know what the dog does the second he realizes what's going on? He grabs her phone and runs off with it and tries to destroy it, presumably to break the curse. And then what happens next is honestly the most confusing part of the movie, okay? So the dog drops the phone in the bath. Her brother gets it out and tries to swing it around to get the water out of it. It flies out the window, swings around a satellite dish, slides down a solar panel, and lands in dog food. And from here on out, the app is now able to control boys. Any man or boy this app can control against their will.
Sit.
And at first, while watching this movie, I didn't even think it was that weird. I didn't even give it a second thought. I was just like, okay, yeah, so something magical happened, and now it can control boys. That makes sense. But like, what? What happened to the phone? I don't understand how solar panels and satellite dish changes the app from dog-based to man-based. Like, you think at the very least something having to do with, like, men would happen to the phone. Like, the phone lands in, like, a bucket of buffalo wings, or, like, flies through a football field. I'm just curious to know if that fucked up other apps on the phone, or if it's just the dog training app. Now whenever a boy likes one of my tweets, he goes into a coma for 3 years. And don't even get me started on the weather app, because every time I check that, boys start falling from the sky. Anyway, let's just say now that she's got the ability to control boys, she has a little bit of fun.
Boys are acting weird.
Dude, he farted twice in midair in such rapid succession. They added in 2 fart sound effects. Kind of impressive. I'm trying to imagine how she's gonna use the app to get herself out of this one. Stop farting! Take it back! Take the fart back! Suck it back up into your ass! Oh! How am I doing this? But no, she just uses the app to utterly humiliate him in front of his friends.
Go to the bathroom. Oh, wait, no, not here.
I'm still confused about some of these clicks, by the way. Like, what are these nerdy kids supposed to be? Look at this kid in the green sweater. How he acts when nobody high-fives him. What is that acting?
I guess your dog app doesn't work on girls. Maybe because girls aren't dog-like.
Ah, that's funny. Girls are catty. What the fuck does that mean? Boys are dog-like? What the hell? I mean, I guess in this universe they kind of are. They're like flea-ridden, mangy boys.
Why do we smell like we smell?
So pretty much like the majority of this movie is just Zoe using the app to like get what she wants and make all the boys at the school act exactly how she wants them to. She turns the skater boys into gentlemen. She goes up to the nerdy gamer kids and tells them to like go do yoga instead of playing video games.
Let's go do some yoga.
And her brothers, dude, don't even get me them too. She turns the skater boys into gentlemen. She goes up to the nerdy gamer kids and tells them to like go do yoga instead of playing video games.
Let's go do some yoga.
And her brothers, dude, don't even get me started on what she does to her poor brothers. I'm taking the brothers' side, alright? They did nothing wrong. Her poor brothers were just living their lives until Zoe moved in and tries to fix them.
Be clean.
Holy moly, it's filthy here.
Her messy brother she tells to be more clean, which turns him into this like hyper-hygienic husk of his former self.
I use sponge and soap and paper towels and a power washer.
For the rest of the movie, he's literally he's scrubbing everything, frantically, in a panic. Anytime there's a mess, he's like, I gotta clean it up! She tells the gross cooking boy to cook less gross stuff.
Start making less gross food.
So he's like cooking 5-star meals for the rest of the movie. And then the oldest brother, she tells him to be more focused.
Be focused.
This lampshade.
The boy is just like focused. The boy is just like focused on...
This lampshade.
The boy is just like focused on inanimate objects for the rest of the movie. He's just like staring at a lamp or at the basketball net. She turns her own family into like mindless zombies. And she's like, this is better. This is nice. It's creepy, dude. It's eerie, this movie. In all honesty, dude, this show walked so that WandaVision could run. This is basically WandaVision. In fact, since they're both owned by Disney, I wouldn't be surprised if this was in the same universe. This is like a prequel to WandaVision. This is where she gets the idea. It's kind of funny how low the stakes are considering the power that she holds. She could like take over Wall Street. She could get rich. She could make anybody do what she wants. Any man. She could fix every war. Create world peace. In fact, I think her friend says that at one point in the movie. She's like, we could end every war with this. And Zoe's just like, yeah, we could, but I simply will not. I think it's more important that my brother stares at a lamp for the rest of his life. That's kind of the shit I'm on.
Things aren't nearly as terrible as they were. And again, I'm talking to a dog, so I might just be losing my mind.
Hey, smartphone.
And this his life. That's kind of the shit I'm on.
Things aren't nearly as terrible as they were. And again, I'm talking to a dog, so I might just be losing my mind.
Hey, smartphone.
In this scene, there's a little bit more the shit I'm on.
Things aren't nearly as terrible as they were. And again, I'm talking to a dog, so I might just be losing my mind.
Hey, smartphone.
In this scene, there's a little bit more development with the love interest. Zoe runs into him reading alone in the park.
Well, what are you reading? Oh, no, let me guess. Cool Guy's Guide to Wearing Sunglasses Inside.
Close.
Love interest? Zoe runs into him reading alone in the park.
Well, what are you reading? Oh, no, let me guess. Cool Guy's Guide to Wearing Sunglasses Inside.
Close.
Interest? Zoe runs into him reading alone in the park.
Well, what are you reading? Oh, no, let me guess. Cool Guy's Guide to Wearing Sunglasses Inside.
Close. To Kill a Mockingbird.
I feel like when he holds...
Cool Guy's Guide to Wearing Sunglasses Inside.
Close. To Kill a Mockingbird.
I feel like when he holds up that book, we're supposed to be like, wow, he really is not like other guys. Except, like, that is required reading in most high schools, so he actually is like other guys. He's like every other guy. To Kill a Mockingbird's sort of my favorite book. My second favorite is The Great Gatsby. Third favorite is Geometry 101. I just love to read, what can I say? Eventually things start to get a little crazy. It's sort of my favorite book. My second favorite is The Great Gatsby. Third favorite is Geometry 101. I just love to read, what can I say? Eventually things start to get a little crazy at school, and Zoe realizes that she probably shouldn't be controlling people like this anymore. People are getting into fights and stuff because the new cliques at school are just like not meshing well. So Zoe's like, alright, I'll just make them stop. And she tells the app to stop, and then of course everybody just stands still and freezes. And so she's like, oh no, I can't reverse the commands. If I tell them to stop, they're just gonna literally stop. And so then like many more days go by, and she's just like, well, I guess I can never reverse the thing. And it's like, well, what if you just said, hey, ignore all the commands I gave you, instead of just saying stop and being like, oh, it didn't work. The movie continues to get even more dark, to like a startling point. There's a creepy ass scene where the whole JV dance team wants to resign because they don't like dancing anymore. And Zoe's like, how about I use the app to make you dance instead? And so there's just a scene of them all like sadly dancing, as their hearts aren't in it, but they're being like physically forced to dance. And the movie even goes so use the app to make you dance instead. And so there's just a scene of them all like sadly dancing, as their hearts aren't in it, but they're being like physically forced to dance. And the movie even goes so far as to make Zoe force the love interest to kiss her with the app.
Kiss me.
She just forced a guy to kiss her. Disney, what are we doing here, dude? What's going on? We need to have a talk with the writers of these movies. Anyway, Zoe feels bad after this, and she gets all stressed because there is a college scout coming to the basketball game. But Zoe's brother obviously isn't playing very well because the only thing he can do is like stare at an object for hours at a time.
Welcome to a new season of Husky basketball. The Huskies have been struggling with practice, and there's a college scout in the stands. So tonight's game could be a nail biter.
I like that the scout is writing stuff before the game even starts. What do you think he's writing? Ball, court shiny. Boys stinky. Just as the beginning of the movie made no sense, the ending also makes no sense. The phone falls into the wrong hands, the popular girl figures out that Zoe is using it to control people. I don't know how she figures it out, she just like sees Zoe holding it during dance practice and she's like, she's holding her phone while dancing? She must be using mind control. I gotta get that phone. Anyway, she steals the phone. At the basketball game, she just like starts making everybody obey her every command. In order to get the basketball game, she just like starts making everybody obey her every command. In order to get the phone back, Zoe's like, how about I just do whatever you want?
I'll do anything you want. Just say the command. Dance.
And then this happens.
Roll over.
How did you?
Your brother. Stick together.
Sorry, what? He just broke the curse. Like, the spell that everyone is under, he just, like, got up and he's like, I'll do it with you, I'm your brother. Don't worry about it. It's like, I'm sorry, is that what breaks the curse? Being a brother? Being her brother? And then eventually, like, her whole family is able to resist the app and get on the ground with her and start doing it, and it embarrasses the popular girl. And, the only explanation for it is this.
Why isn't this working? Because everyone knows you can never make a dog turn against its own pack.
The rules to this movie, the lore does not make sense. I guess that's just how Disney Channel movies go. In the end, everyone sort of learns that, like, hey, girls have things that girls do that are weird to boys, and boys do things that are weird to girls. And that's just how we need to leave it. Which, in some sense, I would agree with. Not in this movie, though. The boys are disgusting in this movie. They need to change something about themselves. I think that there could be some middle ground between her mind controlling them and them just being utterly repulsive. Anyway, the moral of the story is, like, Zoe realizes that she is not God and should not have unilateral control over everyone's lives, and they all live happily ever after. Well, guys, we may never be able to control boys using our smartphones, but you know what we can control? Our money. Thanks to today's sponsor, Current. Do a flip. Do a backflip. Sid. Speak.
I love you, Father.
Good boy. That's right, guys. Today's video has been sponsored by Current. Current is the future of mobile banking. You get